Read a book in 20 minutes. Today, we read Ground Covered with Chicken Feathers. This book is written by Liu Zhenyan.
The story begins with the story of Kobayashi's family being surprised that the tofu went bad. This classic opening, revealing the hidden family crisis of the Kobayashi family. Xiao Lin and his wife Zili are both college students. Before they got married, their lives are full of poetry and tranquility. But now everything has changed. Take the rotten tofu incident for example. To save money, Xiao Lin gets up at 6 o'clock every morning, go to Gongji grocery store to buy tofu. Because the tofu sold by individual businesses has too much water, so there are a lot of people queuing up to buy tofu. Xiao Lin must buy tofu before 7 o'clock every day. Then I rush to the office bus. This plot, it undoubtedly shows the modern life, prevalent pressures and challenges. There were a lot of people lining up that day. Xiao Lin bought some tofu and ate it. He rushed home after get off work. As soon as I got home, my wife scolded me. It turns out that the tofu that was left on the table in the morning has gone bad. At first, my wife blamed the babysitter. Blame him for not putting the tofu in the refrigerator. But the nanny didn't buy it. He had long been dissatisfied with the salary of the Kobayashi family. Even threatened to resign. I stayed after being persuaded by Xiao Lin and her husband. Therefore, the nanny seems a bit arrogant and domineering. Not only do you not eat leftovers, still picky about things. Xiao Lin was late. I had an unpleasant experience with the person in charge of attendance at my company. As soon as I entered the house at night, I was confronted by my wife's reproach. It made her feel very depressed. The babysitter looks at the spoiled tofu. Put all the responsibility on Xiao Lin. Xiao Lin said that she didn't tell me to put it in the refrigerator this morning. My wife is angry. He also vented his anger on Xiao Lin. Xiao Lin felt very frustrated. I'm tired after a day's work. I have to deal with my upset wife when I get home at night. What's the big deal about a pound of spoiled tofu? This isn't about creating tension. Xiao Lin reluctantly admitted his mistake, but still complained. 1 pound of tofu is enough to talk about. How much is it worth? Last time you broke a thermos. Only $7 or $8. No one blames you. That's all. The contradictions of old matters are about to explode. Xiao Lin and her husband were caught up in mutual accusations again, among the things of breaking vases and plates. This goes on. It will definitely lead to an endless vicious cycle. Isn't this the daily life of countless ordinary families? One can't help but cause an argument. Fortunately, someone knocked on the door. When I opened the door, I saw a lame old man checking the water meter. After the old man checked the water meter, seriously said one thing. Mr. Bu said someone reported to him. Someone is stealing water on this floor, deliberately leaving the tap on at night. Let the water drip into the bucket. If the water meter doesn't turn, isn't that stealing water? If everyone is like this, what to do with the waterworks? The Kobayashi couple looked very embarrassed. It turned out that my wife heard about this method from her workplace. Tried it a few times at home last week. Later, Xiao Lin felt that this was too despicable. The tap was dripping all night long. Stop disturbing others' rest. The Kobayashi couple quickly stated that they definitely did not steal water, although they are poor. But there is backbone. Finally, the old man said tolerantly that I just need to be careful next time, due to the involvement of water theft. The tofu search incident seems to have become less important. However, Xiao Lin still blamed his wife in his heart. How could a college student get such a reputation? Stealing 2 buckets of water is not worth much. This behavior is shameful. Let people point fingers.
Who would have thought that the quiet and poetic girl in the past, a few years after getting married, will become a nagging, even housewives who learned to steal water? But who could have imagined it would turn out like this? Isn't it because life is hard and poor? The next morning, Xiao Lin got up and prepared to buy tofu. But I didn't expect his wife to sit on the bed in a daze. Don't buy tofu today. Xiao Lin thought the tofu incident was not over yet, about to break out. But his wife said, it's about his job transfer. Xiao Lin felt even more anxious after hearing this. This is more painful than losing tofu. Xiao Lin's wife works in a good company. Busy in the office every day, processing files, write a summary, occasionally drink tea and read newspapers. However, due to his direct character, at the beginning, I couldn't communicate with the leader, get along well with colleagues, often causes friction. After moving several times, finally for cheap, purchased a property in the suburbs, too far from my wife's workplace. It takes more than 3 hours a day, round trip by shuttle bus. Hard work every working day. The wife couldn't stand this kind of life. Feeling unhappy at work. I'll make trouble for Xiao Lin when I get home. Insist on changing jobs. Xiao Lin said we have no background, no connections, a blank. Which company would be willing to hire you? It is better to change those childish and ignorant habits. You will get used to it after a long time. The two often quarreled about this. Xiao Lin watched his wife get off work every day, looks exhausted. I can't bear the pain. Don't help him find other job opportunities. But they were all rejected. Xiao Lin's wife said he was incompetent. Xiao Lin replied angrily, "Don't just think about your job. Think about those textile workers. They work standing up all day. You can drink tea and read newspapers at work." Still not satisfied. However, the wife did not back down. He said that he didn't have back pain when he was standing and talking. "If you don't help me find a job, I won't go to work." In desperation, Xiao Lin tried her best. Suddenly I thought of the deputy director of his unit, Lao Zhang, and the HR manager of another unit. He is his classmate. So, he went to Lao Zhang for help. Lao Zhang readily agreed, wrote a letter of introduction and made a phone call. Xiao Lin's wife was very happy. Then, Xiao Lin went to find the HR manager of that unit. After some greetings, he also agreed to help. It seems that we just need to wait for the results. However, this matter was messed up by Xiao Lin's family. The wife is worried. I found out that a colleague's husband, after being the director of the former three-door unit, entrusted him again. Xiao Lin believes that there is strength in numbers. I always think it's no harm to find one more person. But the problem is, the Kobayashi couple do not understand the ways of the world. They think, when you hire someone to do something, you should find someone reliable. In this way, the host will go all out to help. But if you find a bunch of people, others may think you know so many people. Why are you looking for me? This will accomplish nothing. When Mr. and Mrs. Kobayashi realized this, it's too late. So they blamed each other and quarreled. After calming down, they thought of a remedy. My wife wants a gift. Xiao Lin was hesitant because of her face. The two quarreled again. The final decision is to give gifts. However, they struggled for a long time. I don't know what to give. Careful to save money. Those who are careless feel sorry for the money. Finally they decided, free a box of branded drinks worth more than 40 yuan. Coca-Cola. When Mr. and Mrs. Kobayashi went to give gifts, I happened to meet someone from the first 3 units going out, but their sincerity was rejected. The other party said I'm still short of a few bottles of drinks. You guys can carry it back and drink it yourself. Xiao Lin felt that he couldn't give away the gift. Feeling embarrassed, start blaming my wife. I care about money too. Finally, I had to take the gift home for my little daughter to drink. My wife's work problem has not been solved yet. Xiao Lin encountered new troubles. I was in a good mood, because he was awarded first prize in the company's quarterly awards. Also awarded 50 yuan. But at night, Xiao Lin discovered 10 rural folks came to my house, smoking non-stop. A canvas bag at my feet. The ash was scattered all over the floor. Now Zilin sees people coming from his hometown in the countryside. I feel my scalp tingling. He is also at the bottom of society in Beijing. But the old family doesn't think so. They think Xiao Lin is doing very well in Beijing. So whenever I come to Beijing, I'll go find him. Either accommodation or help with errands. Xiao Lin's parents did not understand him. Often show off to people in the village. My son is in Beijing. If you need him, find him. People from my hometown have to entertain them. Over time, not only Xiao Lin felt annoyed. Expenses are high. My wife is gradually becoming unhappy. The two often have conflicts because of this. One day after get off work, Xiao Lin's wife found out. Two more country folks came to visit. Very annoyed. The nanny is too lazy to cook. So I had an argument with the nanny in the kitchen. But despite this, Xiao Lin still had to entertain well these two country folk, because they are his primary school teacher Mr. Du and his son. Many years ago, Xiao Lin fell into an ice hole. Teacher Du once saved him. After some greetings, Teacher Du explained the purpose of his visit. He had emphysema. I don't know if it has developed into lung cancer. Considering the poor medical conditions in my hometown, he took his son to the Kobayashi family and hoped Xiao Lin can help find a hospital for diagnosis and treatment. Xiao Lin felt very embarrassed, but I still insist. At this time, I heard my wife and the nanny arguing in the kitchen. Just go to mediation. But my wife is not intimidated. Finally I cried. Teacher Du saw that Xiao Lin's family was in conflict. I don't want to cause trouble. Let my son go from the sale. He took out 2 barrels of homemade sesame oil from the cloth bag. Got the kitchen. At last, my wife and the nanny finally cooked a good meal. After dinner, Teacher Du and his son left. Xiao Lin is on her way back from seeing Teacher Du off. Tears could not help but flow out when I walk home alone, feeling unusually heavy. It feels like there is a mountain on my shoulders. I can't walk more than a few steps without feeling like I could collapse at any moment. Unexpectedly, not long after Teacher Du left, the child is sick. Start coughing. My wife complained. Did Teacher Du's lung disease infect the child? Xiao Lin got angry when he heard this. He quarreled with his wife. Then I took the child to the hospital. After examination, it was found that it was just a cold. They were relieved. I bought a piece of cantaloupe for my child. The child felt much better after eating it. Even the cough has eased. Everyone is happy. I feel much better now. Xiao Lin also bought his wife her favorite fried pork liver. That night, after the nanny and the children fell asleep, Xiao Lin and her husband interacted enthusiastically, just like a newlywed. The gentle and considerate wife also took the initiative to admit her mistakes. I blamed Mr. Du wrongly. Then, Xiao Lin's wife mentioned that the nanny's attitude was not enthusiastic enough, not proactive enough. Procrastination. Not paying attention to covering the child with a blanket at night. This is what causes children to catch a cold. Xiao Lin also discovered these problems. Once he went home for something, found out the nanny let the child drink water alone. So he cooked noodles in the child's pot, add dried tofu and eggs to eat. Xiao Lin and her husband decided to wait until September. Send your child to kindergarten. Dismiss the nanny. You can save 100 yuan in salary every month. They believe that after saving this money, life will definitely improve. A bright future. Xiao Lin and her husband felt happy. Fortunately, Xiao Lin's wife's work problem was also solved. The unit leader sent a shuttle bus for him to solve his daily commute to work problem. It takes 40 minutes to drive to the workplace. Xiao Lin's wife feels that the world is going downhill. All units are the same, being ignored. Just mess around. Finally solved a long-standing problem. Xiao Lin is happy. At night, the two of them. We also had a happy and passionate time. However, not long after, my wife's mood became depressed again. He thought the leader had added a shuttle bus to care about subordinates. Unexpectedly, but it was because the boss's sister-in-law moved nearby. The wife felt frustrated and aggrieved. Every time you take a car, I feel like I am taking advantage of others. Being insulted. I feel like I'm being treated as a second-class citizen. Isn't this just vanity? Finally, Xiao Lin tried to enlighten his wife. You're not the only one taking the bus. Everyone isn't that good. What's the use of you being alone? My wife is a little relieved. However, when things go wrong with your child going to kindergarten, the kindergarten is run by an external organization. There are also district and neighborhood committees. The best ones are run by external units. Kobayashi's wife insisted to send your child to a kindergarten run by an external organization. Don't consider other places. As a result, Xiao Lin took it lightly. When enrolled, The quota is very strict. No problem, you can't get in. Xiao Lin tried to give a gift to the director, but was rejected. The headmaster said, if Xiao Lin can help get an infrastructure indicator to accept his child, Xiao Lin is powerless. Finally, I had to send my child to the kindergarten run by the neighborhood committee. The wife scolded angrily, accusing the husband of irresponsibility towards the child. At this critical moment, the nanny heard she was going to be fired, also got emotional. The scene was in chaos. But in the end, the children of the Kobayashi family still able to attend the best kindergarten outside the unit. It turns out that the neighbors, excellent economic conditions, and the hostess looks like an Indian, often look down on Xiao Ling's family and laugh at them outside. However, what is unexpected is that it was the neighbor's husband gave it to Xiao Ling and his wife one place in a kindergarten outside the company. She said she was originally planning to allocate 2 places. One of them was given to my sister's child, but my sister's children won't go. She decided to leave it to Xiao Ling's family. Xiao Ling and her husband were very surprised. Since then, I have had a much better relationship with my neighbors. Soon my wife felt sick again. It's like eating a fly. Turned out to be, their children are having difficulties in kindergarten. They want our children to accompany them. He feels incompetent. The child was bullied. I got the advantage of someone's sister-in-law on the bus. I didn't expect my child to go to kindergarten. I also want to accompany others to read. She started crying. Xiao Ling also had a hard time falling asleep that night. She blames herself. Even slapped himself. Tears falling. She asked herself why she was so incompetent. Why can't you deal with these things? But about the matter of accompanying children to study. After a long time, you will get used to it. One day, when Xiao Lin got off work early and went to the vegetable market, I met my former college classmate Li Bai. They were both keen on writing poetry in college. Even joined the school literary club. Now little Li Bai is pushing a food cart, selling pressed duck. Although I became a small boss, but Xiao Ling still felt a little awkward. However, little Li Bai saw it clearly. In the face of the challenge of survival, what does personal reputation count for? He needs to go out for more than 10 days to collect ducks. I hope Xiao Lin can help with the accounts after get off work every day. 20 yuan for 2 hours a day. At first, Xiao Lin refused to, worried about losing face. But little Li Bai said, I know you care about this face, but this idea is too naive and childish. Who has the time to care about face nowadays? Pursuing face only makes people look vulgar. Only when you don't care about your face can you truly pursue wealth and glory. So Xiao Lin reluctantly agreed. At first he stood behind the food truck. Don't dare to look directly at passers-by. But gradually I became bolder. I gradually got used to this kind of life. After 9 days of struggle, Xiao Lin earned 180 yuan. He used the money to buy his wife a windbreaker. Bought a big cantaloupe for the kid. The whole family is overjoyed. Xiao Lin feels that face is insignificant compared to money. I even hope that more good things will happen in the future. In Liu Zhenyan's mess, there are many conflicts between Mr. and Mrs. Kobayashi. Trivial things can become the fuse between couples. Either you are too picky, either it is justified. In conclusion, they all show the characteristics of being aloof, selfish, vain and competitive. Vicious cycle of mutual blame. It has drained away all their enthusiasm for life. In fact, most of life is trivial. No matter how great the difficulties are, they will gradually pass. No matter how big the problem is, it can be solved. Many times, we are dealing with some daily things. It is obviously a waste of time to be too fussy. Be down to earth in doing things. Be a principled person. Reduce worries. There are no insurmountable obstacles. The problem between Xiao Lin and his wife. First of all, it can be said that it is economic difficulties. But if you don't change, it's only going to get worse. Material scarcity is not terrible. Spiritual emptiness is what is really worrying. If you don't want to live a monotonous life, always reflect on your own faults. Sometimes change isn't that hard. Since we cannot control our fate, Try to take control of your own life. Believe that there is no dark night that cannot be overcome. There is no hardship that cannot be endured. Keeping hope and integrity. Gain respect through your own efforts. Make yourself your own strongest support. This is happiness.